Hello and welcome to Bone AppeGeek, a fun twist on a cooking show where three geeky friends come together to bring our favorite fandoms to life by whipping up tasty dishes in our home kitchen based on and inspired by our favorite games, shows, movies, and more. I'm Rach.
I'm Nora.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are three geeks who play with our food. Welcome to our Lord of the Rings episode. We are celebrating the 20th anniversary. We're back from our winter break, and we are also, not only are we excited about this episode, but we're excited to tell you a little bit more about our new format that we're launching with this Lord of the Rings episode.
Yeah, in honor of Lord of the Rings, they're going to be 3 hours each, the episodes are, and there will be extended versions as well that make it 5 hours long. It's going to be awesome.
Nope.
Mm-mm. Lots of exposition.
Nope.
Travel.
Nope.
Stop.
Nope.
Come back.
Nope. Please come back. Yeah, don't listen to him. That is the standing disclaimer here. Except for when he's making you lovely drinks. No, our new format is actually going to be quite the opposite of that. We're going a little shorter, a little easier for it to not be so long, so easier to watch, hopefully. But most importantly, we're going away from that three-course format, which will really allow us to cover some more different fandoms that we have wanted to cover that just don't lend themselves well to an appetizer, main, dessert, and 2 drinks format. So hopefully this will allow us to keep bringing you a lot of great content, hopefully on a pretty frequent basis, and cover a myriad of different games, shows, movies, and more. So yeah, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about our Lord of the Rings episode. Woo! So as we've mentioned, this year marks the 20th anniversary of the movies being released in theaters. I know it might make me a bad nerd, but that's kind of the 20th anniversary of when I got into it. I was introduced via the movies first. I will admit that. I did go back and read the books, so don't cancel me. But that was my in. And you know, I didn't expect to like it, if I'm being honest. I hadn't really had that much experience with like fantasy literature, and I was like, I don't know, it's gonna be boring and weird, but it was not. I was hooked, and it was like 3 hours, and I was like, I can't sit through a 3-hour movie. Now that's the norm, but that's another. But yeah, I was hooked. I loved them, so I started reading the books, and here we are, 20 years later, celebrating.
Yeah, so I discovered the books in high school. I had got a Magic the Gathering price guide for my collection, and in it was an article about the 100 sci-fi, fantasy, horror books you need to read, and Lord of the Rings was number 1. So I remember checking that out at the school library, reading it, had one teacher get super excited about it, and then I read it every year in high school, and then I discovered stuff like Silmarillion, the Book of Lost Tales. I've based a lot of my fantasy characters in like RPGs, games, online usernames off of names that Tolkien himself came up with. So
nice.
Yeah.
I think you win the biggest fan card right here.
Yeah, I thought he was hot, so I watched it.
Yeah, introducing our special guest here today. We have Cardboard Legolas here to join us today.
Celebrating this episode.
I'm sure he will love all of our food in as much as a cardboard person can love anything.
Yes, he looks like he's judging. That's okay. It'll be fine.
Yes, he's just threatening us. Like, stop talking and chill.
I'm hungry. I need a cake. We're not making the elven bread. I'm sorry.
His caffeine's a little flat.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh, boy.
Because he's cardboard. Don't cancel us for that either. Because he's cardboard. But it's a joke.
But I did also go back and read the books and become obsessed. And now I'm just sharing it with my son. That's his copy of The Hobbits. He loves it too.
I'm not her son.
No.
She's just pointing down table at the
We just took a weird turn.
Cool. So straightening that back out.
Let's talk about what we're going to make.
So I am making our main dish this time, and I am going to make pork pies. That's something that pops up in the Hobbit book. They mention having pork pies. And it just seems like a Hobbit food to me. So we're going with that, and a tradition. I'm doing a twist and making them miniature sized, so a little less traditional, a little more Hobbit sized. And that's exactly why I decided to do that. It also gives us a little versatility. You can serve these little mini pies like as finger foods at like a party or something, or like an appetizer. Or what we're going to show you is how to plate them up and make it into like a dinner. I decided to use cheater pie crust or refrigerator pie crust. We have done a ton of complicated bakes, and so I thought it was time to show you guys how to make something really tasty without having to make it from scratch.
Yeah, if you want to make it from scratch, check out one of our previous videos. You can learn.
Yeah, we've told you how to make pie crust time and time again.
For the dessert, we already mentioned that we're going to do a cake. Did we mention that? We didn't. It's okay. We are making Bilbo's birthday celebration cake. It's a Madeira cake, but it's more dense, and it's got poppy seed and orange. The orange is from Bilbo's orange marmalade that he liked to serve his guests, and the seeds, poppy seeds from they eat seed cake a lot in the books and the movies, and they like celebration. So.
We're not doing the big 3-tiered thing that we saw at his 111th birthday party on the movies. We've decided it's 20 years later, so we're going to make this a nice, simple cake. This isn't a giant celebration; it's a small gathering for him. So much smaller, but it's going to be delicious.
Intimate.
Yeah, exactly.
And in honor of taters, I'm going to make vodka.
Potatoes.
Oh.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a liquor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm making Miruvor, the elven honey wine that Galadriel gives, or Elrond gives to Gandalf before they go to Moria.
Nice.
Galadriel's spooning it out at one point as well.
Well, I hope you do it justice and don't offend our special guest.
Not too worried about it.
Okay. All right. Well, I like the confidence.
Yeah.
It's definitely confidence and not because he's cardboard. Cool. Well, that's our menu for today. So let's jump in. Let's start making pies and cakes and drinks.
Let's do it.
All right, friends, let's get started on our Hobbit-sized pork pies. This is a pretty simple recipe, so I'm just going to walk you through all of the ingredients, and then we'll get started over at the stove. So the very first thing we're going to make is a little kind of a sauce for our filling, and it's really simple. You're just going to use 1 1/4 cups of chicken broth and about a tablespoon of cornstarch. Then we'll move on to our pork pie filling, and for that we will need about 2 pounds of ground pork. You'll need 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. You can use the squeezy stuff, you can use the stuff that comes in a jar, or you can use a clove of garlic that you've minced up yourself. We'll use some salt and pepper, about 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, about a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and then a couple more herbs and spices. A 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, we need to grind these still. A 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. About an 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne. You can add a little bit more than that if you like spicy stuff, but this isn't really like a dish where we're going for a lot of heat. This is really just seasoning. And a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. The last thing we'll do then is prepare our crust and fill our pies and bake them. So we are going to use refrigerator store-bought pie crust this time instead of making our own. We wanted you to have a little more time to hang out with your Hobbit friends instead of making that homemade crust. So you're going to need 4 sheets of refrigerated pie crust. Most of the time they come 2 sheets per box, so you'll need 2 boxes of these. And then once we get our pies assembled, we're just going to top them off with an egg wash. So you'll need an egg and just a smidge of milk, about 2 teaspoons of milk, or just a couple dashes. So that's the rundown of the ingredients. The first steps take place over at the stove, so I'll see you there. Let's get started on the filling for our pies. In a small saucepan, mix the cornstarch and broth together until blended. Bring it up to a boil and stir constantly. Cook for about 1 to 2 minutes until it thickens up. Remove it from the heat. Now grab a larger pan and add pork, garlic, salt, pepper, cloves, nutmeg, cayenne, and thyme. Cook it for about 6 to 8 minutes until you notice the pork is no longer pink. You can drain the pork at this point if you want a lighter pork pie. Now add the broth and cornstarch mixture and cook for 1 to 2 more minutes until it all thickens up together. Remove from heat and let it cool slightly before moving on to fill your pies.
Now that we have made our filling, we are ready to start assembling our Hobbit-sized pork pies. So the first thing we want to do, I've got our refrigerated pie crust laid out here. Sometimes with these refrigerator crusts, especially if they're a little bit cold when you roll them out, you'll notice they have some little rips and tears in them. That's okay. You can just press it back together with your fingers and then just kind of go over it with your rolling pin, or if you don't have a rolling pin, like a drinking glass or something, and that'll smooth it back out. This doesn't have to be perfect. We're cutting out little circles, so it doesn't really matter if the big circle of crust looks nice. We're not doing a full pie. So we're just going to stretch it out just a little bit, roll it a little bit flatter, and then we're going to start to cut out our pie shapes. Now for this, we're going to use 2 different size of cutters. And I know most of us, you might be like me, I've got a lot of cookie cutters, but none of them are just plain rounds. They're all fun shapes. So if you find yourself in that situation, you don't have to go out and buy like 4-inch round and 2-inch round cookie cutters. You can use your drinkware. So what I've got here is kind of your standard like wide mouth pint glass. I'm going to use that in place of our 4-inch, and then a smaller drinking glass for the toppers. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this glass and I'm going to press it in here, get a good cut, peel back the dough away from it, pull it out, make sure that it's all nice and solid, that we don't have tears in it, and then we're just going to press it into our muffin pan. Now we're not really greasing this. It's not the end of the world if you're nervous about it and don't want to grease it, or want to grease it and don't want to go with ungreased. You can add a little, but don't add too much or you'll get your crust all gross and soggy. They won't quite fill the cups up the whole way, and that is kind of the point, because we're going to top them off. So I'm just going to cut a couple of these and set them up, and then we'll add our fillings in. Press that down in there and do one more of this size. Now to fill the cups, it's super easy. You're just going to take the pork filling that we cooked over on the stove. I'm just going to set this aside for just a second. Just going to take some of that filling that we cooked over on the stove. Oops, there's a little bit left. And spoon it into the cups that you prepared. Just a couple of spoonfuls is plenty. You don't want to overfill them or your pies will burst open and then they won't be pies anymore. They'll just be little cups with filling in and around them. So just fill them a little bit. So you can see there they come up about to where the pastry stops. Then we're going to take our crust back. We're going to take our smaller glass and cut out the tops for these. Now if you don't have 2 different size glasses to do this with, again, not the end of the world. You can use the same size. Yours will just look a little more rustic than ones that are done with a smaller top. But you can make it work. So you're going to cut out that smaller circle. You're going to roll out any seams or rips that might be in it. And then you're just going to gently place it over top of what you already have in your muffin tin. And you're just going to use your fingers to kind of pinch it together and seal them shut. These are rustic little pies. So you're not going to get a really fancy look out of these. They're just too small to really get too fancy with. You can use a fork to kind of crimp them together. But in this tight space, I don't like to do that. I find that usually causes things to just rip. So that's all it takes to assemble these, is just stacking these little discs on top of what you've already filled and pressing together. And the closer you get in size, the better they're going to press together, and the better they're going to look. You won't have so much overflow and spillage, essentially.
It's more important if you don't have the right sizes. It would be better to use a circle that's slightly too big for your top than slightly too little, obviously, because you'd have to really stretch to make it fit, and then your crust is going to be so thin that chances are your filling's going to ooze out. So I've assembled 3 of these here, and I'm not going to make you guys watch me do every single one because you would be bored to tears, and then our channel would be slow TV and not a cooking show. So what I am going to do is show you the last step. We made an egg wash here with an egg and just a couple teaspoons of milk, and all you're going to do is just brush that on, and that just helps our crust look nice and golden and shiny and pretty. So we're going to pop those into the oven at 425 for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to finish putting the rest of these in the pan, and we'll pop them in the oven, and then we'll be ready to eat. Okay, so that's it. We're ready to taste. I have just added a tiny little sprig of thyme on top just for a little extra flair. Totally optional. And then we have decided, since we're having these for dinner or supper, I'm not sure which one, to just make a full meal out of it. So we've served ours with some mashed potatoes and peas. These also work really good, though, since they're miniature, as like a finger food at a party. So whatever you want to do, but let's dig in.
They look great. The browning on that looks awesome.
It's that egg wash.
Yeah.
That's the trick. All right. Well, bon appetit.
Whoever you made that crust is amazing.
That's a chef's secret.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to the cocktail portion of the show. We will be making Miruvor today, which is the elven mead that you see throughout the movie. Elrond gives Gandalf a flask, which he gives to the hobbits when they're on the mountain. It's described as a honey-like liquor. It's described as clear, yellowish, but we're not going to be clear because I went with, some organic stuff, and they don't actually filter it when you do organic, so we won't be clear. What it involves is some pear juice, some honey liqueur, and then some dry curacao. I finished that off with some muddled walnuts. I was going to say mashed, muddled, whatever. You're going to make them like a powder, essentially. And then some rosemary, just for a little bit of flavor and smell. So let's get started. What you're going to do is 3 ounces of pear juice. If you can't do pear juice, apple juice would probably work as well. But pear's going to give you that flavor. Ounce and a half of this honey liqueur. This one is a honey sherry, but stuff like Baron Jaeger works as well. And then I'm using some dry curacao. If you have like blue curacao, you're not going to get the color, but that works. Any kind of orange liqueur. I like dry curacao because it's not as sweet. And you're getting a lot of sugar from that pear juice, and then you get a lot of sweet mouthfeel from the honey liqueur, even though it doesn't have that much sugar in it. So we're going to add all that to our shaker. Bunch of ice. I'm just going straight in the glass. You can serve over ice, but you're not going to get the cool walnut visual that comes along with it if you do. Take my muddler and mash these up. Now these do float. You don't have to muddle them if you don't want to. Also, I did roast these, so I just put them in a pan on heat, kept stirring for about 5-10 minutes. Once that smell started being released, I pulled them off the heat. If you leave them on too long, they will burn and taste disgusting. But I wanted like the smoked walnut flavor for this. Chestnuts will work. Pecans if you want to go sweeter with it. Whatever kind of nuts you can find. So I just sprinkle that on top. Drop in a sprig of thyme. And bon appetit.
Hey, welcome back, friends. Here we are, the part we always wait for, the dessert. I am going to be making Bilbo's birthday cake. And here's what you need. We are going to need almond flour. This is 3/4 cups of almond flour. We also have 1.5 cups of cake flour. We have 1 cup of unsalted butter. If you get it in this Kerrygold, you just have to get 1 stick, so it doesn't feel like you're using all that butter. We have 1 cup of granulated sugar plus, where is it? 1/4 cup to sprinkle in the bottom of your pan. 3 eggs. The juice from 1 orange. My orange was pretty big, so I only used half of it. You don't want more than 1/4 cup. And there's the zest. Also, we're going to add 1/3 cup of poppy seeds. It doesn't really change the flavor much, but it looks really pretty. And just a teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of baking powder that I almost knocked over. And first things is what I'm going to do first is just sift all of our flours together. So get the biggest bowl that you have in your whole house, and then you'll have a shot of not getting it everywhere. So I'm just going to dump everything in my little sifter, and it's going to fall out. It's fine. Almond flour. It's going to be fine, I promise. Baking powder. And can I reach the salt? We'll see. I did it, friends. And now we just shake it. And this is why you want a really big bowl. It's probably still going to go everywhere, but this is your best bet. And we're doing this to get rid of all the lumps. I know you can see the top there, the almond flour. It's got a lot of little lumpies in it. So just do a real quick job. And this will help get everything incorporated so we don't have to mix it as long. Alright, I used an extra small sifter today, so this is going to take a long time. Fun for us to watch. You just tap it pretty hard on your hand. There we go. Yeah, you're left with that little bit on the bottom. Just smush them out. There you go. Now I'm going to clean up my mess and bring in the stand mixer, and we'll be back to continue the next steps. And we are back. We have Rachel here. Hi. We have our sifted flour. We're all good. And we've got the mixer out. Next step, you're going to cream the butter. Unwrapped it. This is, remember, 1 cup of unsalted butter.
1 small stick.
Yep, just 1 stick that's it.
We're not eating much butter, I swear.
And you're just going to mix that until it's creamy.
It's looking nice and creamy.
Oh, very good. Next, I think we're going to add the sugar, 1 cup of granulated sugar, and mix that for 2 to 3 minutes.
I wasn't here when you poured the ingredients. Is this the sugar?
That is the sugar.
Okay,
yes.
cool.
This is also sugar, but I'm going to move that away.
Okay, what's next?
All right, what we didn't show you was every few seconds, not every few, probably like 20, 30 seconds, stop the mixer and scrape the bowl down. So next we're going to add our orange zest and juice, and also our vanilla, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla.
All just goes in at the same time?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we are going to mix that again for about 2 to 3 minutes.
And stopping and scraping down like
Yes.
before?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is key.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to add our eggs in. We're going to do 1 at a time, stopping and scraping the bowl in between each one.
Ooh, and you have a challenge for me because they're all in one. All right.
A tiny little rectangle dish.
2022 Egg Olympics.
You got this.
Nope. Okay, there's number 1.
Ooh, we're at number 2.
Let's see if I can keep it up.
It'll be fine.
And that bowl scraped down and ready for egg too.
Looks so pretty with all the orange in there.
It does, and it smells so good already. Okay, last one. I definitely can't mess this one up since there's only one. I know, now I've jinxed the whole thing.
Yeah, let's start over.
Straight down there. Okay, I think those eggs are all mixed in.
Oh yeah, it's looking good. Now it's time for our dry ingredients. We're going to add those in 3 batches, and this we're going to mix only until they're combined. We don't want to overmix this.
Okay.
I know. I had to use a big bowl to, make sure I didn't sift it everywhere.
That makes sense. I definitely would have ended up sifting all over the counter, so.
That's normally what I do. We've got company, so.
Second batch.
There's a lot of steps, but it's just time consuming. It's all very easy and worth it. If you don't skip a step, it's going to make a difference.
And pay attention to those mixing times. Don't undermix when you need to be doing for a couple of minutes, and don't overmix here when you're doing your dry ingredients. Okay, so that looks like
that looks great.
batter coming together.
Yeah.
And we just add in the
our
poppies.
poppy seeds, and just mix those in. Yeah, it's a really dense, but this is not going to pour. You're going to have to scoop it into whatever.
It looks more almost like the consistency of a cookie dough, like a wet cookie dough. And just a couple heavy bursts there to get those poppy seeds mixed in. I think we look like pretty
Look at
evenly
that.
poppy seeded.
Oh, that looks great. All right, we're going to get cleaned up a little. I'm going to grab our pan, give it a spray with some Pam, and be right back. All right, we are ready for the next step. We're going to get this batter into, we're just using a bundt pan. Also, a little bread loaf pan would be great for this. Now, this is the most important step of the whole cake. This is what is going to turn it into magic. We're going to take that 4th cup of sugar that we reserved and coat the pan with all that sugar, and just kind of move it around, bounce it in your hand. Hello. This is going to give it a yummy, crunchy topping. It's delicious. Don't be stingy. Use the whole 1/4 cup. That's what it's for. You will thank me later. Just keep turning it around. Okay, yeah, that's going to happen. It's fine. You just clean it up. It's worth it. And as you keep turning, because I did spray this with Pam, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, so definitely spray it, and as you turn it, it's just going to stick to all that. And once you get to where it's not sticking anymore, like I just keep turning the same little granules around, then you can fit it back in your little bowl. Just something like that, none of that happens. That's a later problem. Now, let's get this cake in the oven. See how that's a dense cake. So just spoon it in. This is why I think a loaf pan would also work well, but this is prettier. So I'm just going to evenly, because I don't want you to sit and watch me scoop for days, evenly around, and then kind of tap it in to make it level, and then I'll show you what I'm done before I put it in the oven. All right, that is going to do it, and you can see it's all just evenly dumped out over there. Kind of smooth it around. It's not going to make a difference. Just at the bottom anyway. So we're fine. All right, now Legolas and I are going to pop this in the oven, 350 for 40 to 45 minutes. All right, we did it. Here it is in all its glory. Rach made this beautiful cake topper.
I love it. It's festive. I just wish we had a Bilbo here to share it with.
Yes, we have a Legolas, but he's not
I think he's like threatening you for the cake.
Yeah.
Like it's bad.
I wasn't supposed to say that. All right, well, let's dig in then.
Well, let's do it. Don't cut Gandalf.
I know. He'll be okay. He survived worse.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. Oh, it's so warm. Look
Oh,
at
the poppy seeds are so pretty.
I don't want to. It's going to tuck that strawberry right back. All right. All right. Bon AppeGeek.
Bon AppeGeek.
I'm excited for this one.
Me too. I think I say that every time.
That is very good.
Mm.
You would agree.
That orange flavor. It just it's so strong, but not like overpowering. It's good.
The crunchy sugar on top.
It's good stuff.
This one for Bilbo's birthday and yours. You should make it. It's delicious.
All right, that was it. That was our Hobbitish feast.
Ooh, it was good.
I am smally stuffed.
Smally stuffed. Pint-sized stuffing. Yeah.
Michael did not run away, so he has his approval.
He stayed trying to shoot us all night, though, so I'm not sure if that means he approved of the food. Shoes?
The shoes?
Shoes?
Personally would approve of the shoes as well.
The food, or if he was trying to shoot us, to threaten us, because it was terrible. If he's give me some more, or this is terrible. That was the point I was trying to get to. Anyway. What was everybody's favorite part? What'd you like the best?
I liked the cake. I'm going to say the cake because the cake is my favorite part of everything. I love the orange in it, the crunchy sugar on top. Oh, that was delicious. It was good.
I was getting little hints of butter in it too.
Oh,
which is
yes.
really
Oh, so good.
I know it's just going to make me sound like I don't know what, but I always like baked goods where you can taste the buttery, buttery, I don't know,
Like shortbread cookies. And
yeah.
the milk bar cake that you make.
Yeah. I'm going to have to agree with you on that. That cake has blown my socks off. I love it. I think it's a good versatile cake. I could see me eating pieces of this for breakfast, as well as being just a good dessert cake.
with some tea.
I got to give the pork pie some credit. They made a great dinner. I loved them. I thought they were great with the mashed potatoes and peas, but that cake takes the cake.
Oh!
Sorry, not sorry for that one.
I like the pork pies myself. The pork pies had a nice amount of grease that came out when you bit into it, like a good piece of bao does. And then the pie crust, I know it was store-bought, but it was perfectly crispy, and it didn't get a soggy bottom on it.
Soggy bottoms.
During the bake, even though you had all that grease inside that just came out with the pork.
That was something I worried about using the refrigerator crust, is whether we'd be able to pull it off without it getting a soggy bottom, and we did. It's doable, so yeah.
And I broke a bunch of them getting them out of the tin.
You don't need to tell that part. Don't listen.
Edit.
They were all
Edit that
perfect. All perfect. We have never made a
make
mistake
no
on this
mistakes.
show. I mean, the cocktail was really good. I don't want to say that we chose everything except your cocktail. It was really good too. It was one, I like the addition of the nuts because I think it would have been I'm not huge on sweet drinks, so I think it would have been too sweet for me, but the nuts really set it apart and gave it the depth to offset that sweetness. I really liked.
I love the honey liquor. I've never even heard of that. And yeah, with the nuts on top, it was good. 10 out of 10.
Well, if you made any of these recipes, you definitely should. I recommend making them all. We would love to see how yours turned out. If you went the birthday cake route or you want to do some other kind of celebration, we'd love to see what kind of how you decorated it and what you were celebrating. But any of it, use hashtag #BonAppeGeek on pretty much any of the socials. We'll be looking for you, and we'd love to see what you did. Speaking of socials, you can follow us on our socials, which are...
we're on all of them. Twitter, Facebook. We're really active on the main ones. Fitter. Coming soon.
Fitter is my favorite. I was an early adapter to Twitter, and I just love it.
I was the first. No, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, we're most active there. We also have a Reddit and a TikTok at AppeGeek Show.
Along those lines, we have a website, www.boneappegeekshow.com. On that website, we post all of our recipes with step-by-step instructions, all the measurements, so you don't have to take notes while you watch along with us.
And also, if you'd like to, buy us a cup of coffee. All the proceeds of the coffee would go back towards us with ingredients and just our everyday costs of making the show. And you can find the links to all of our socials and our coffee link in the description box below.
And if you buy us a coffee, feel free to send us an idea. Tell us your fandoms.
Yeah.
We're always looking for new stuff to cover. So we'll be back on March the 13th.
The 13th.
Yes.
And we will be covering a show that's near and dear to, I think, all three of our hearts. We're going to be covering Ted Lasso. I think we're going to have a ton of fun because I think everything associated with Ted Lasso is a ton of fun.
Yes, with my whole heart. I can't wait.
Can I quote Roy Kent?
No, this is a family-friendly show.
Censor.
All right, well, we will see you back in 2 weeks to see if Jeremy manages to slip in a Roy Kent quote on the show. Bye.